pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Laughlin?
Here.
Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Mrs. Herman? Mr. Krupa?
Here.
Mr. Holloway?
Here.
Mrs. Mullins? Here. And Mr. Sullivan.
I'd like to entertain a motion and a second to excuse Ms. Herman.
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Either one.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. In your packet, you'll see a letter of resignation from Ms. Herman. That's there, and it's included in the packets this evening. For information, I'm looking into the policy, the regulation, making sure we handle everything correctly. I believe we will vote on that in the next meeting to accept or reject that, the acceptance of that resignation. So you'll see that coming in the next meeting. Building improvement plans, Mr. Crutchley.
So tonight we have our secondary buildings here to present their building improvement plans to the Board of Education. We have a new format that we've not tried before that we're going to do tonight. Each of our schools will be set up at a table around the room. Each board member will meet with that principal for approximately 10 minutes, and we'll rotate tables every 10 minutes and hear from those principals. What you'll hear tonight is really piggybacks on what Dr. Rizzi did our last meeting when he talked about our district-wide data. This is going to go down to the building level. So where are those buildings at? What are they doing really well? What do they need to improve? And they're going to spend some time with each of you up here talking about that. So what will happen in just a few minutes is we're going to have the board members each choose a table for the first round, if you want to call it. When 10 minutes is up, we will just rotate tables, and we'll probably just do it clockwise if you want. So if you're at Jeremy Donald's table, you'll move to the next table. We'll just rotate around the room. Now, this is a conversation between our principals and our board members. If you're in the audience, you're welcome to, if there's not an empty chair at the table, to pull a chair over if you'd like to listen. But the dialogue is between the board members and the principals. So we're going to ask the community. This is, you're welcome to listen. If you have questions or comments of the principals, we're going to ask that you either write those down or you keep those, and you can ask them after the meeting, or you can set up an appointment with that principal at a later date. But with the 10-minute time frame, there's not enough time to take questions from the community as well as board members. So this is a board member and principal exchange, but like I said, you're all welcome to listen. You're welcome to move from table to table or stay at one table. If you choose not to participate, we're going to ask if you want to have conversations, that you go out in the lobby to have those conversations so that we're not disrupting those the talks at the tables. So is there any questions from any of the board members before we get started? Okay. If each board member, there's 7 tables, there's only 6 board members, so one table is going to be empty every time, but if everybody wants to pick a starting point, we'll get going. Debbie will announce when there's a minute left, and then when the 10-minute time frame is up, we will switch. Our middle school and high school principals, I know as I went around, it was just really eye-opening. You guys have done a ton of work. I know this is the first year that we've really asked you to dive this deep into the data, and it took a lot of time for you guys to do it. But I think that our district is going to be a whole lot better off for this exercise that we've done and for what we're going to continue to do with this. So I want to tell you guys thank you very much. I thought it was really good.
Okay, we're moving on to Regulation 7705, Community Use of School Facilities. Todd?
In your packet tonight, there's a sheet. It's a proposal for 2 groups that have contacted Nick Giannino, the AD up at Fox, about using our facilities, our turf fields, and our gyms on a multiple-use basis, where The Slices soccer team would like to use the turf field for a total of 39 dates, and then the CNR Basketball League is looking at 93 dates booked throughout the rest of this year and over the summer. One of the parts of the discussion with Nick and with the groups was our cost schedule for using the fields and the gyms. The costs that we have proposed and that have been approved were cost prohibitive for these groups to book multiple times. So in some discussions with Nick, worked through a tolerance level on some fees that we feel would be adequate to charge, less than what our normal rates are. But certainly the exciting part about that is if we're able to do this, we're looking at a possibility of about $39,000 made off the use of the fields and the gyms. So what I'm asking tonight is that we look at those. I'm proposing that we approve those two groups at the rates that I've got down there. And also in looking at this as an overall big picture, in looking at different schools and what they're doing with their rates is I'd like to take a better look at what our rates are and maybe come back in the future with a new proposal as far as our rates, because I think in some areas we're way overboard. We've got two sets of rates, one for basically a summertime rate, one for a fall and school year rate. No other districts really do anything like that. It's pretty confusing on how it works, and would like to come up with a consistent rate schedule that we can use and bank on, as well as look at a possibility of a multiple use agreement type rate schedule, so that groups that want to come in and use the fields over and we can count on them for a steady source of income to be able to provide some type of break. But with that comes, hey, you're gonna book for a long period of time. So, any questions on this? The other thing, financially, where this money goes, it goes into the general fund, and part of the discussion we had up with Cabinet is starting to look long-term as putting a portion of these funds aside so that 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road, when we're starting to look at replacement of the turf fields, we've got a reserve built up to do that, as well as a reserve built up for times when we need to look at the gym floors and some things like that. So it's really kind of looking towards the future, but also the opportunity to make a little bit of money right now.
All right, thank you. Performance-based teacher evaluation, Dan?
After looking at creating a new PBT, and that stands for the Performance-Based Teacher Evaluation, for over a year, the committee feels it's kind of time to make a decision. A lot of hard work went into it last year when we were looking at creating our own version of it. However, well, first off, the information that I have for you is obviously for information. Our hope is to bring it at the next board meeting within 2 weeks. The committee would like to recommend the NEE, or NEE, which stands for the Network for Educator Effectiveness, out of the University of Missouri, for the adoption tool for the PBTE. It offers intense training for the administrators over a 3-year period. The first year, the administrators, and we're thinking about 50 of them, meaning building and some of us in our office, would get trained. And in checking with a couple districts around, Windsor for one I talked to today, Blue Springs, they kind of rave. They were kind of afraid about the intensity of the training, but what they got out of it was, I don't know, very valued, I guess, from what I got. The purpose of the training is so that all those 50 evaluators that go out and they would watch a video, for example, of a teacher teaching a lesson, the reliability of that would be that the 50 or so evaluators would score around the same score. That was a big deal to the teachers that were on the committee, the counselor that was on it, and even the administrators, that you wouldn't be going from Antonia Elementary as a teacher, then shifting to Fox Middle, and the whole teaching evaluation would be just, our decision kind of thing that we would be trained on. That was kind of the difficulty. If we would have created our own, the training that we would have not received would have been a drawback. Another positive, there's a thing called EdHub that's part of the NEE that allows us to shoot off videos. Let's say a teacher struggling in the area of behavior management. We can send out videos that require them to watch that. The administrator sending those out can then see how often they're watching those videos and then have a discussion about it as follow-up. I also included the feedback that we received from the PBT committee so that you can look over it the next 2 weeks. If you have any questions, let me know. 247 school districts in the state are currently using it. Again, I called about 10. The last few days, only talked to 2 or 3, have played phone tag with them, so if I get that information, I'll bring it back to you guys. The cost for this, the first year would be $40,000. That's for the 50 evaluators, the administrators get trained. Then after that, in years 2 and 3, they come back out, they train the administrators again. That would be, I think it was wrong in your packet, it said 12,000. That was only for 40 administrators. It would be 15,000 for those years 2 and 3. Then an annual cost of approximately $11,000. That's based on the number of certified teachers that you have. So if we would hire some in May or so, that price is going to go up a little bit. We did check with DESE. This is an allowable cost for Title II dollars. So as far as local dollars, that would be out of Title II. So that was nice to hear. The model's research-based. It's aligned to curriculums. I think just moving forward, it would be nice to have a tool like this that was research-based. It wasn't something that we were hodgepodging together trying to figure out. And it gives a common language for the staff to use if there's shifting between buildings of teachers, and even for the administrators out there, that when we have meetings, we can talk about it. There's graphs, charts that show how a teacher's performing based on grade level from school to school, not just here, but in the state that use this program. So the hope is if you guys would approve this at the next board meeting, to have the administrators trained in November and December, so that when we come back in the second semester, we kind of get this going. And it wouldn't be for teacher evaluations for this year, but my wording would be to guinea pig it through the second semester to work out some kinks. So that's the information that I have. I know it's a lot of information in your packet, so over the next 2 weeks, if you have any questions, feel free to send them my way and I'll answer them for you.
This is a phenomenal program in terms of providing support for the administrators in doing quality observations and quality classroom work. But then it gives some of that reliability to the teachers to ensure that our administrators are highly trained, and that reliability across the district is going to be there because of this training. So very, very impressive system, and impressive what they provide and what it provides for us. Data alone, I mean, you guys saw a lot of data tonight, but if we want to talk about helping principals help teachers and help teachers help themselves, this is really a good thing. So we'd, like Dan said, we'll bring it back next month. If you have any questions, please let Mr. Baker, myself, any of us know, and we'll try to answer those questions before the next board meeting.
And one thing I forgot to mention, John just mentioned, PD 360, we brought this to you, I think, probably in March of last year, where we purchased it again out of Title II, so it wasn't any local. I think that came to about $120,000. That was when we were kind of trying to work out how this was going to be. We obviously wouldn't renew that contract come the springtime, would back that off, and so it'd be a savings out of Title II. That was out of Title II, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that we wouldn't be obviously needing that because of the Ed Hub portion of this. So that's the one thing I want to mention to you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Questions?
The list of schools that are on here are from the organization, the ones that they actually have contracts with?
Correct.
It doesn't seem like a lot of the schools that we chase are here. Kirkwood, Ladue,
Correct.
Wentzville, Parkways.
Most of them was Francis Howe, Ferguson, Florissant, Windsor. A couple more were being added south. I believe Festus was going to be added to
Yeah.
it soon. I don't know if Kirkwood and those kind of districts are using the DESE model or what they are doing. I can do some research as far as that goes, just to give us an idea. Because the decision kind of had to be made at some point here soon, because we're expected kind of to have this going by next fall. So just knowing the amount of research that this provided, and again, about the reliability and the districts that we had heard from, and then when the teachers, we had a gentleman from the company, University of Missouri, come out, we were kind of sold on the fact of what it could provide us. But I can check and see what those other districts are going with.
looks like everybody in Jefferson County has it but us.
Correct. Or at least most. And that's the only kind of list I could get. They had a colorful one that I could have added, but they had some new additions for the 14-15 school year, so that's how they presented they're in alphabetical order, if I remember right. And Blue Springs is one on the western side of the state that generally scores very well with their scores, so I reached out to them, and that's the one I'm playing kind of phone tag with. Only talked to him briefly because he was going into a meeting, but I'll reach out to him again tomorrow.
Push the green button.
Mr. Bazile, are you familiar with this product with the Afton School District? And when did they purchase it? So they're already doing it? Push the button, John. How do they like it?
Afton School District did buy it last year. They were extremely impressed with exactly what Dan's saying, is the calibration of the administrators in teaching them what to look for in like engaging students in learning or anything else. I mean, it's very well developed, and the data it provides is incredible. I've seen it, and it's pretty impressive.
Thank you. Should I turn it off now?
Any other questions? All right, adjournment to closed session, 610.021.2 real estate, 610.021.3 personnel, 610.021.13 personnel records. I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
All in favor?
Mr. Palmer,
Thank you.
Yes.
Mrs. Herman, Mr. Krupa,
Yes.
Mr. Holloway,
Yes.
Mrs. Mullins? Yes. Mr. Sullivan
Yes.
and Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.